Travis joins us today.
Yeah.
Welcome, Travis, all the way from the East.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In the
Middle
hot-
East.
Yeah, good to be here. Thank you.
A lot of people been rolling their dice lately. Roll them Bitcoin dice. If
I
you
don't know
hadn't
why they weren't rolling them to begin with.
roll them, if you hadn't rolled them. Get that
Roll the
entropy.
bones. Roll the bones.
What
I don't know. What do you make all this stuff, Travis?
It's
cold
really
card
unfortunate.
debacle.
Yeah, it's sad. I've talked to a few victims already.
Have you really?
Yeah, there's
Oh, shit.
yeah. I mean, because I remember like when I first withdrew like my stack to cold storage, like you do your little test withdraw and you delete your you wipe your wallet and restore. Like you do everything correctly or you think you do, and then you finally have your stack and your maybe your cold card in this case. It's you were air gapped the entire time and everything, and you have like that sense of security, right? Like it's kind of like the same thing as having like a pantry full of food. You're just like, man, I'm feeling good. Feeling good.
Good morning, Johnny.
Self custody. And then so you imagine like you have that feeling and it's years and years of cold storage coin, and all of a sudden it's just gone. And it's like the exact opposite experience, just a gut punch. So pretty sad.
Yeah, I can't even imagine like what it's like to hear about it and then go, wait a minute, I have a Mark III. Huh? Tick. Like, dude, like that's a heart stopper, man.
Yeah. And it's all the models after Mark III too.
Oh yeah. Like Mark IV.
I know originally, I was like Mark III on a certain firmware, but it's
all of them. I mean, the later ones apparently have reduced entropy, right? But there's still a modelable attack surface there, right? Like if you're an adversary, you can, that's within computational ranges of figuring out what those seeds are, right? So
it's not where you want to be. If you're a Bitcoiner with pursuing cold storage, that's not where you want to be.
No. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, what's your take, Fritz? Like, it sounds like you were kind of doing a big deep dive last night and kind of getting into it. And you said earlier you were feeling angry.
Oh God, I've been feeling emotional about it. And now I never used a cold card. And when I went through these stages of grief about it, and I was telling you offline, but like, so I was at work all day yesterday, but I'd check and I see stuff pop in, and at first it's like the denial of like, what are they doing? It's not, it can't be the cold card. Like, what else is going on? And then it was like details are coming loose, and then I was getting angry. Like, basically, where do I put the blame? And it's easy, like when, like, okay, hacker's gonna hack. And so I start shifting, and you see people out there really laying a lot of emotional blame on cold card, on NVK, on victims, on, and just kind of like, because I'm feeling it. I'm reading stories, whether they're all real or not, I don't know, but legitimately good people with stories about losing small amounts, losing to them significant amounts, or I don't know what the extent of it all is, but I was getting so pissed. And like, how did this happen? And anyway, too, it's like, even not having used a cold card and knowing and trusting my mechanisms, I had to stop and go and sanity check my setup and just say, okay, like I'm okay. And thinking through again all the things like, okay, I'm fine, but holy shit, it was a scare. Like, what? Because, okay, it's not, let's just say, oh, it's just this model and this firmware and it's just cold card, or it's just this. Do we know? Do you know? Like the whole don't trust, verify thing. I had to think through, what does that actually mean? You wrote the whole article on it.
Yeah.
Where did I have this here?
On Medium.
Yeah, on Medium.
Yeah, it's like that tab right there. Yeah.
Don't trust, verify. You wrote an article about it, but that's what it boils down to. And then, okay, these platitudes we have in the Bitcoin community, not your keys, not your coin. I'm like, okay, but what does that really mean? And what are you actually doing to ensure that or know that? And I had to stop myself and really think about it. Like, for some people, it's a surface level platitude. But like, are you really?
Right.
Are you really like verifying? And if so, how and where? And, anyway, it was shaking. It shook me.
Oh, dude, it's terrifying for the whole community. You can just tell by how much engagement is occurring on, Bitcoin Twitter right now. Like, everybody's talking about it. It's just a flood of fucking information. And I kind of like it because it's finally silenced that retarded fucking BIP 110 debate. So it's like, oh, thank God I don't have to hear about this shit anymore. Which I think was just driving people away from Twitter, But that was the whole purpose of the article. Like, the thing that was starting to make me mad is, like, and to this day I keep saying, like, how can I ever trust Cold Card, or should I trust Jade, or should I trust Bitbox? I'm like, what part of don't trust verify are you guys missing here? Like, that's not like, it's not a thing that you put on your t-shirt and go, yeah, fuck the state, don't trust verify. It's like, no, dude, that's an instruction set, and it's a pretty basic one at that. Are you trusting something? Yeah, then you shouldn't do that. You should verify it, right? And the problem with entropy, there's a great little Dilbert cartoon that's kind of floating around right now about, like, and it's from ages ago, and there's a ton of people sharing it, but it's Dilbert walks into the accounting department, and they go, hey, look at our new random number generator, and there's like an evil red cat that's just going 99999, and Dilbert's like, is that really random? That's the trouble with randomness. No one can really know, So it's like, oh yeah, Johnny, it's terrifying, dude. Like, it's rightfully so. Like, it's very frightening to kind of look at this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But that was my sort of broader point, is like, people go, I don't trust exchanges for valid reasons, right? You go, well, exchange is subject to subpoena powers, and it can seize your funds, and OFAC compliance, and this, that. There's all the regulatory and legal hurdles that can be thrown up in your face. They can just take your fucking Bitcoin, right? They could just go, actually, we don't think your Bitcoin is legitimate, so we're keeping it. And you guys go, well, but wait, how am I supposed to prove it's legitimate? Well, prove you didn't get it from criminal origins. Like, you want me to prove I didn't do something? Like, how the fuck do you expect me to do that? So I just don't get my Bitcoin? Well, you can file this legal process. It's going to take 2 or 3 years and cost you about as much as the Bitcoin's worth. So yeah, do that and we'll figure it out. But right now you have no Bitcoin. You go, oh, I probably shouldn't have trusted you. That seems like a bad idea in hindsight. Oopsie doodles. But then, so they go, okay, well, I saw these YouTubers that said I should take self-custody and not your keys, not your corn, and blah, blah, blah. And they said, get a cold card. So I got a cold card. Did you read the instructions thoroughly? No, I just, set it up. And it says in the instructions, you should, consider adding dice. There's even a selection in there where you can add dice rolls. And did you do that? No, I just trusted the device is going to protect my corn. Oh, how much corn were you securing? Oh, $850,000. Oh, okay. So you built yourself a glass box that everyone told you is super secure, and then you put $850,000 in it. Are you sure that's a good idea? Well, I trust them. Okay. Well, it doesn't say don't trust verify unless you don't understand what verification means. It says just don't trust verify, right? And as I was saying to Fritz offline, like, a cornerstone of cryptography, like one of the core and one of the big research questions is about achieving randomness, right? And sufficient depth of randomness that you can actually have something that's cryptographically secure. And that's not a trivial problem. And there are solutions to it, but even the solutions are at the margins imperfect and subject to human bias, right? So, and even then people go, oh, you should just roll dice, or you should have just done the little coin flip method or whatever. It's like, yeah, but then you're also introducing like transcription errors, and did you really record everything right? Did you have an edge case to kind of resolve one way or not the other, and this and that and the other thing? It's like there's all kinds of error prone processes there. So if you're going to go that route, it's not just like, oh, I rolled some dice, I laid them out, I made this row, so even number is 0 and odd number is a 1, and then I set that out, and then I wrote down that binary, and then I used this transcription thing to transcribe it to the words, and then when I transcribed the words, I made sure but you've got like 4 steps of really hard things to verify. Because like if I put a string of numbers in front of somebody, go, here's a 00111000110011, right? And you go, is that in the right order? You go, oh. People just stumble on that.
Yeah.
So it's like, so it's not fair to say, hey, you should have done that, right? Like, I don't want to victim blame at all, and just go, well, you should have known better. And yet there are personalities out there who have presented themselves publicly as like experts in the Bitcoin space that have lost Bitcoin because they didn't fucking generate sufficient entropy. And I go, I can understand some boob who watched your video and just went, oh, okay, I guess cold card is
like it was the beginning of the next step, but
right.
there wasn't the right follow through. And I can see where a lot of people. Well,
thanks, Johnny.
I know we deserve to be well known. I know.
Maybe after 2 or 3 more years of
let's keep doing this, and
sooner or later people are going to circle back and like, these guys are amazing.
These guys are still here. I mean, it's like, so like in another year or so, it's like, well, you got lucky, and it's like, did we though?
Or did we got receipts, dude. We've been grinding for fucking years, dude. So yeah, you can go back and look.
But so many people, it's like they mean to do the right thing, and so then they take that next step, and they're going to take self-custody, and they're busy. You got a job, you got kids, you got like an hour or maybe a weekend, so you're going to do it, and then you start, and you're like, well, I'm just going to do the basic mode of this because it's all pretty much a lockbox, so I'll keep it simple.
Right.
And you keep it simple, and it's like, okay, they gave me a seed, cool, it's random. And you're
relying on their reputation.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And the brands sell that.
Not,
the brand
not relying, they're trusting.
You're trusting. Yeah, that's
trusting
true.
The brands. I know.
In violation of rule 1, don't trust, verify.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Travis, you were at Swan for a long time, right? And so you saw the other side of that. Like you saw how many baboons come along and just screw things up, right? Like you have endless stories of people just like, here, I'm trying to fuck up actively,
Yeah, you see a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of, Swan encourages taking self-custody.
Right.
And, so you're encouraging withdrawals, but, you do see people just YOLO sending, 1+ Bitcoin.
Right.
With no test withdrawal. Right.
Yeah.
Kind of like, there's some, are you being reckless?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you combine that with other factors, like, they're in their 70s. Like,
yeah.
Okay. I wonder if this is really them.
Yeah, exactly.
So
my Thai girlfriend is an expert at all this stuff, and she tells me everything to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, wasn't that you that told me the story of a guy who's like, well, someone said I should send it to cold storage, and I needed to get a Bitcoin address, so I Googled Bitcoin address and I sent it to that. That's like before. A real story, right? Oh, that wasn't.
That was a story that I ran into. Yeah. And a lot of times, like, I'm trying to think of like things I'm allowed to talk about.
Oh yeah.
There's a certain point I shouldn't talk security. Yeah.
Sure. People do the darndest things though.
Yeah.
It made me rethink through a lot of things, where as I would orange pill, and for the few that like kind of start taking those next steps, man, it's my responsibility, if I'm going to do that for other people, not to just stop at, oh yeah, take self-custody. Oh, hey, you got a device? Cool. And not like kind of follow through on making sure of stuff. I can see a lot of people out there that, provide Bitcoin consulting services, and cringe if they kind of did it light.
Yeah.
I mean, I shelled cold card for sure. And Jade, those are like my two.
We talked cold card up a lot.
But did I really? Yeah, I guess I would just cut. That's kind of where it would go, though. I would usually go out of my way to say, when you write down your seed phrase, like don't put it digital. Don't make a digital version of it. Like, because most people, I mean, not most, but a lot of people, I hear stories every week about people taking pictures with their phone of their seed phrase, or writing it down in a notepad, or keeping in a note, right? It's something digital, and then it gets compromised later. I mean, every week I hear about it.
Yeah.
So usually I warn people about that, but this idea of using your own entropy, this will be a big lesson learned though for the whole community, for everyone using.
Yeah, it's a huge learning opportunity. But I mean, that's kind of the thing, is like, like we talk about the sound money thing all the time, right, Fritz? And I would argue like the same heuristics that people use to like take self-custody are the same heuristics they're using to have sound money. I'm like, you have just gotten to a level of knowledge, and now you've anchored your identity to it, and you're just going to run with it. And I go, but you didn't look any further, right? Just like these people have anchored their knowledge to like take self-custody on an air gap wallet. Okay. And then they stop right there. They never go any further than that. They go, so-and-so said, I believe in so-and-so, I'm going to go do so-and-so thing. And it's like, but you can't, like, just even, there's people like that are keeping like massive stacks under a single sig. I'm just like, I don't like, there's a very old saying, don't keep all your eggs in one basket. And it's like, are you telling me that you had 10 Bitcoin on a single sig and you didn't have proper entropy on it because you didn't understand what entropy generation meant and how meaningful that is, and then you trusted a device to provide it for you? That doesn't sound like a good idea to me, right? Like, that's $600,000 worth of corn that's just sitting there on a chain of assumptions. And it's like, but there's two rules that should be driving that decision process. Like, don't trust verify, and don't keep all your eggs in one basket. So you put the two together and you're like, how did you end up in a position where you have 10 Bitcoin under a single sig, under a assumed RNG? How did you end up in a position where you have 25 Bitcoin under a single sig, under assumed, RNG? It's like, you're concentrating risk. You've got a single point of failure, and you're assuming things about the security process. Like, how that doesn't, like, I can totally get the guy who's been stacking, like, he puts his 0.00023 Bitcoin per week or whatever onto his fucking cold card, and he's now managed to stack up, 0.0913 whatever Bitcoin. You go, and then that got swept. It's like, well, that sucks, dude. Like, I'm sorry that you spent all that time saving up, $6,000 or whatever, but lesson learned. So if you ever get to a place where you have a lot of corn, probably don't do that again. Like, it's an expensive lesson. It's cheaper than a college degree, but it's still something you're going to learn the hard way. But for the advanced users who have, been socking away corn for, a long, long time and haven't ever once stopped to consider, hey, maybe I should learn more about this. Like, it's a little odd to me, but I'm also the person who, like, probably once a week I'll be talking to somebody and they're going like, it must be exhausting to be you. Who thinks about this shit? And I go, oh, I know. Like, even my neighbor over here, I was like, I was talking to her. She's got this little like Glassworks or whatever. And I was like, yeah, since I moved in here, I had to spend all this money to buttress all the security. I had to add this. I had to do this for these reasons because they can do this and this and this and this and this. She's like, oh, maybe I should be thinking about that. I'm like, how are you not? And that's sort of the disconnect for me, is like, I look and go like, how are people not thinking about this? You know what I mean? Right. But that's the quirk of me. And it's my mistake is like assuming other people think this way, which clearly they don't,
That's another thing.
You're a weirdo.
Presume.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know. When you're weird like us, you presume other people think about first principles type stuff. And even as I'm not perfect at it, at least I do think about it and then make steps. But so many people just don't. And in a way, this wake up call rattles everybody. Even if you're an OG, you stop and pause and you see what's going on. You're like, maybe we all need to be like really talking about this more clearly, more differently, being careful, ensuring the details that you want to presume when you're orange pilling and that we shouldn't. And also the nature of the way a lot of people naturally think about security is through like obscurity. And I think the paradigm, the legacy idea that security can be obscurity is gone. So like with AI, part of this is like, well, it was a weakness. It was a bug. It was something people didn't see. With AI now, AI is a piece of this now, where AI is probing and testing and hacking and pushing all the edge cases and all the boundaries and all the weaknesses, and is finding it. So it's not human. It's like, it's open source. So people are looking at the code, and yet people didn't see it and AI found it.
Yeah. I mean, there is that aspect of it, right? But there are some core principles within the Bitcoin system that are pretty well hardened and pretty well tested, right? Like SHA-256, AI has been dunking away on that since AI was around, and clearly AI hasn't gone, oh, here's the fucking flaw in SHA-256, right? So you can go, well, there are elements of this that are reasonably verified, right? Like as best as a human being can, and they're continually being tested. So you go, well, rely on those elements, right?
Right.
But if you're talking like, I don't know if you remember, like couple years back, 3 years back when I went to Prague, I interviewed the guy from Tropic Square who is like talking about secure hardware elements and like all the flaws and things like that. But I would point people to that interview, right? Because that was stuff that like I found just deeply fascinating. And I wrote an entire article about this interview with this guy and like how they arrive at secure elements and what supply chain attacks look like and how you can open source hardware and how difficult that is and all the proprietary elements and how you can make that subject to analysis and yada, yada, yada. And that was 3 years ago, right? But I put that out because I thought, man, this is really interesting. People should be thinking about this if they're taking self-custody, if they've got hardware wallets, if they're doing, because there are other factors there that are not under your control, right? Like and I'm not going to reveal all my processes, but I can say like, there's like, I'm a big fan of Electrum wallets, right? Because you can download Tails, you can verify that distribution, you can boot it to a fucking factory new USB, and you can cut out like 99% of the possibilities. Like you might still have like a BIOS attack on your host computer that you plug in that can somehow like snatch, keystrokes or whatever it is. But barring that, like you're in a relatively secure environment, like secure enough to, protect journalists in hostile countries kind of thing. Right. And it has an Electrum built in there. So you can use that, but then you can, create your own keys and do all this kind of stuff and create a little wallet and put some shit in it and you've got it. And so you're not relying on this like secure hardware chain. So you go, well, I'm pretty sure that my USB doesn't have like a micro implant chip from China because of XYZ supply chain attack. And even if it did, they're not trying to supply chain attack my fucking, my 0.2 Bitcoin on my fucking Electrum wallet. They're trying to supply chain attack like national defense secrets, right? They're trying to figure out ways to destabilize a country, not just, or they're trying to figure out how to brick some fucking computers so they can hold them hostage or whatever. But it's not quite like, hey, let's go see who has corn that they, use the USB, one of our USB devices on. Like that's like a remote possibility kind of attack, right? But the attack surface here, to the AI point is like, well, if you think about what that attack still entails, it's not just like, oh, AI found a bug and then it's like, oh, I just got to go do a thing. It's like, no, there's a lot of compute and there's a lot of modeling that still has to go into that. You go, well, what is likely user behavior here? And they go, well, it looks like their RNG sucked. And there's this little button push thing that you do. Like you hit the buttons like 16 times or whatever it is. It goes, yeah, entropy, right? But then it defaults to like their little piece of shit PRNG that is relying on like machine state and all this kind of stuff. So you got 32 bits of entropy. But as soon as the attacker sees that, they go, oh, I've got a modelable space. I can now,
a table.
Yeah, I can create a table. I can model this, and then I can model that behavior, and then I can get a probabilistic spectrum of likely candidate addresses. And then you got to go and figure out how to scan those addresses. And then you got to go figure out and see which ones have corn on them. And then you got to figure out, and then you got to figure out, and then you got to figure out, and then you can sweep them all at once, right? But that's not a trivial thing. That's not just like some script kiddie fucking open up Claude and like, hey, how can I sweep? You know what I mean? Like there is a high level of expertise that is going into that attack. So, it gets, funky to talk about, but
yeah, I think at this point there's a few attackers. It'll be interesting to see where the investigations go with it being so public.
Yeah. Where does the coin all go? And
what do you think? Do you think there's a chance that the attacker, like the first one that, there's like one that consolidated a lot of the funds in a single address, right? So it's obviously the same person.
Yeah.
And what do you think the chances are that that address is controlled by a cold card? They get rugged again. Holy shit.
I think 0.
I've seen that accusation.
Oh, have you? Okay, I thought I was being clever.
That.
Oh.
Well, I mean, this
inside job from Cold Card.
Yeah.
Like MBKs in there just like,
I thought it would be kind of, it was kind of I kind of have a dark sense of humor, but I was pitching the idea of having like a website set up where you can test the entropy of your private key. You just paste your private key into it as like a joke, right? And it gives you a score.
People would use it.
You know what? Someone already came up with that. Someone already had it.
You're joking.
I'm not. It's actually and it's safe to go to. It's actually like an educational twist
test
to
my
it.
seed.
Yeah, if you click, it's called The one I've seen is there might be multiple versions. It's ismyseedsafe.com. And you should check it out. It's pretty funny. Like you just
ismyseedsafe.com.
yeah. So sometimes these good ideas, you gotta go
Check
fast.
my seed. Oh, okay. Well, it warns you. Oh, you're the problem. You.
Yeah. So it's this is good. I like this.
Well, but I mean, look, what do they say under Tracer? Because I bet you $50 they don't mention anything about make sure you're generating sufficient entropy, right? And that by default is like trust Trezor's RNG. But the thing is like it's a reasonable assumption to make, right? In most cases, like if you're setting up a network and you rely on the PRNG inside the box, like Windows little PRNG generator, like people secure networks with that kind of shit all the fucking time, right? Like it's just all day long, every day. They're not like every IT guy is not sitting there rolling dice to fucking, figure out their network security. So there is a reasonable case to be made that like, yeah, it's like reliable enough for most applications, but I don't think that translates reliably to it's reliable enough to secure a few $1 million of personal corn, right? Like I don't think that's a sustainable leap to make. So this is hilarious. I love that.
Yeah.
Never.
Hey, is this the article you were talking about?
Yeah.
John Sirianni.
Yeah. But I mean, look at the date. Look at on the date. Like, look how long ago that was.
July 4th, 2024.
Right.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, exactly. Right. But this whole interview is talking about some really fascinating things about hardware, potential vulnerabilities, how you can mitigate that, what you need to think about, and do not trust, verify, hardware included.
Keynote speech, do not trust, verify.
Yeah. And I mean, that was one of the, I was like, oh yeah, this is neat. Right. So it's like I said right there, hardware security was something I very much took for granted, right? Because I did. But just because you're taking it for granted doesn't mean. But 2 years ago, I was thinking about this problem, right? I was going, oh, interesting. There's more to learn. So it's I mean, it's small comfort, I guess, to tell somebody you should have rolled dice. It's your fault. Like that's not fair because there's a lot of reasonable reasons to conclude that Cold Card's RNG should have been secure, right? And it's not to excuse the catastrophic failure of them to catch this error and fix it. And especially when you start looking at some of the allegations of like their software merge and how they got rid of the open source and went to a thing and they tweaked some things. And, it's like, well, you go, yeah, you guys have a chain of fuck ups on your end. And, you can't just resort to or fall back on like, well, we told you should have rolled dice. And then, like there's the argument to be made. You should anticipate common user behavior, but I would argue it's a symptom of like a bubble wrapped society because the first thing you see is like, even Uncle Rockstar came out and said, well, there's one thing, if this guy actually used a credit card to go and purchase all this like block space exploration shit, then thank God for KYC. It's just like, oh God, dude. So like, how quick do we just abandon all these principled takes when you're faced with loss and you want an investigation to occur that gives you satisfactory justice?
100%. Yeah. If anything was, anytime you have funds movement, there's a trail, even in Bitcoin.
Right.
So it'll be very interesting to see where the investigation pans out. I mean, there's going to be a bunch of investigations.
Oh, dude, like the whole world is looking at it. Yeah. Yeah.
What wasn't compromised was the core underlying Bitcoin protocol, cryptography, SHA-256. All of that is not
at risk.
Obscurity. It's true security.
Your funds are SAFU.
Math is still good.
Yeah, the math is still mathing.
Math's still maths, and Bitcoin is still Bitcoin. It's these layers on top where we interface with it, where we, as humans, F up. So
yeah.
Or
well, there's a tension there, right? Like and the reason I brought up that sound money thing earlier is like people keep thinking like, oh, the base layer of money and it's going to be money and it's hard money. It's the hardest money ever, sound money, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, I don't think you really thought about money enough. Just like I don't think you thought about RNG enough. But the kind of broader point of that is the tension in my mind is like, people, like I say all the time, that's like, it's non-sovereign granted right of exclusion to valuable property, right? Like that's my core thesis. That's what Bitcoin is. Like it gives you a power that no ruler on planet Earth has ever enjoyed. I can exclude people from this property without having to have a tank and a fucking nuke and or standing army and a moat and this and that and the other thing. You just go, I got some words, I got cryptography, I got SHA-256 backing my ass up. Go nuts, fucker. Try and get my corn. You can't do it, right?
Yeah.
But that comes with a trade-off. Like you have to understand some of this on a deeper level. Just like if you're building a castle and you don't know how to build a castle and you don't know what the attack vectors are, and you're just like, oh, you know what? I saw a picture of a castle and they had some big fat walls. Let's put up some big fat walls. And you go, yeah, but you didn't notice all the other stuff that they were building. So you're completely vulnerable to an attack that you didn't realize because you didn't look at castle building deeply enough. Just like I was talking about your front door, Fritz, I go, you routinely walk out of your house and go click and you lock the bolt and you go secure. And I'm like, you haven't looked at the attack vectors very closely and you're assuming that that's enough to protect the contents of your house. It's probably enough to keep some mentally ill homeless person from wandering in accidentally, just checking doors. You're probably safe from that. But if you have an attacker with even just rudimentary understanding of your lock and your door, they can just break through that shit no problem.
Right.
So my, first step everywhere I've moved in my life is the first thing I do is reinforce the jam, and I drive big, deep fucking screws into the frame as a bare minimum. Just like I want to slow them down at least 30 or 40 seconds or a minute or 2 minutes. I just want to get them to the point where like, oh fuck, I thought I was just going to kick this door in. It's turning out that's a lot harder to do. And either abandon or, double down. Right. And with this particular place, I've made it so it's like, well, even if you double down, you're going to be there for a couple minutes because, I haven't, but that's the problem. I haven't verified it. I just go, based on my understanding of, physics and engineering and reinforcement principles, I go, I think I'm reasonably secure for I think I'm secure enough that I'll be able to wake up, go, There's someone, I think someone's trying to kick in my door. Well, let me just get my gun. And
I got to reach my shotgun here.
Yeah. And take up a position and go, excuse me, someone's in here. Will you please stop trying to kick my door in? And ideally they go, ooh, I didn't think someone was in there. I just saw what looked like a cheap door that I could breach really easily and just go root around and figure out what's in there. And if my security principles hold up, like when I eventually move out of this place, I'm going to kick the shit out of that door and just go, was I right? I don't know. Maybe I might just be sitting in here and all this shit. It's like, there's a show called Schitt's Creek. Right. And so the kids are in one room, the parents are in another room, and they're like, okay. And the kids just walk in all the time, like, hey, we're making out, get out of here. Stop just walking through the door. So the dad gets one of those little chain locks, right? He's like, this is it. I'm going to fix this problem right now. And he puts up the little chain lock and they're like, yeah, okay, let's make out. And then the daughter just comes, opens the door, just blasts right through. The chain just pops off the door. And they're like, what the fuck, But they're making all these assumptions like, yeah, this looks secure. But the second it was tested, it just went out the window. And I might have a similar thing. I might have the illusion of security right now. But the first time I try and kick the door in, like when I'm moving out and I got to bring all these walls and security apparatus down, I'm going to just sit there and pound on that thing and go, was I right or not? Because that'll help inform me for the next time around. I think I have a reasonable security that I have enough delay that I can wake up, right? I do not believe that this is like an impenetrable fortress that no one's going to get into without specialized tools. But I do think there's enough of delay there that's either going to be a frustration for some criddler or some, methed out fucking crackhead. But against a determined adversary that brings some, door bashing tools, like if the SWAT team comes and tries to get in, I don't think they're going to have a problem getting in here. If the fire department shows up, I don't think they're going to be like, oh, well, guess we just got to let it burn. I can't get through the door. I don't think I'm at that level of security. But I learned all this shit, oddly enough, from the crack epidemic of the 80s, right? Because they talked about these fortified crack houses. I'm like, what's that all about? I need to research how they're fortifying their crack house. And I go, oh, that's interesting. But the things they do are the same things I have employed here. Like the reason the SWAT team in Los Angeles had a tank, quote unquote, and got all that bad press for their tank running around is because they couldn't get in these fucking houses. They come up and go, police, boom, please, boom, 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 boom. And meanwhile, they're just like, like all they hear is just the toilet going, right? And then they finally get through the door after they like bend the door down and do all this weird shit. And they finally get in and go, get out of the ground. They go, what are you talking about, man? We're just playing video games. We know you have crack in here. We don't have any crack. So, it's like, it's that level of thinking through problems, right? I don't know.
I know it's like we get
reinforce your door, Fritz. Go get some long screws, man.
I know my daughter gets old enough to be able to, turn the knob and open the door. So then we do the bolt, and then she figures out she can then reach the bolt and knows what that means. Next thing you know, it's like, now what? We got to add. It's what your normal is. You get used to a certain normal and what safety is, what security should be. And then when the environment changes, you're like, oh, I need to up my game.
Right.
And it's like that hit yesterday. It was like everybody was like, oh, where's my game at? Right. I didn't realize that they were knocking down doors in that way. Or you mean my bolt wasn't good enough?
Yeah. Well, I think the equivalent would be like if the Dalles just got hit with, like 500 burglaries in one day, right?
Right.
And everyone went, oh, shit. I didn't realize this door is not secure at all. It's just like a half inch of wood. Wait a minute. This whole time you've been telling me I relied. We got to call Schlage and we got to call Kwikset and go, oh, come here. Why didn't you tell us that the door doesn't work and that your lock sucks balls and you can bump it and blah, 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 and the bump keys and this and that. It's like, so the first thing they want to do is not look at their own practice, not look at their own assumptions and just go, I need to blame Schlage. I need to blame the house manufacturer. I need to blame, and then they're going to take a bunch of heat. And they're going to, okay, our hearts are broken that 500 people got their houses broken into because we didn't provide you all the information you needed to understand that your door sucks, and your contractor just gave you some piece of shit that he bought at Lowe's, and the little frame on the thing is made of fucking chipboard, and you could break it with a fucking screwdriver if you really wanted to, but it's never going to survive a fucking kick attack. So, a lot, right? But at the core of that is like, there's going to be somebody during that burglary wave who took the time to go, I don't think that door is very secure. I'm going to make sure it is secure. And someone's going to try and kick attack their door, and they're going to go, oh, I'm not going to go let's just go next door because they're probably not using this level of security. So I'll just move on to the easy target. And what's happened right now is the digital equivalent of like a mass burglary, right? Like 500, now it looks like maybe close to 1,000 houses have been broken into because people were relying on a bolt and an inch and a half screw that's buried in a fucking chipboard frame to secure the entirety of their inside of their house. I go, I wouldn't be able to sleep knowing that. I couldn't. I would just be sitting there all the time, just like, I am basically sitting here with an open door. I don't like that. I can't sit with that feeling, but it requires someone that thinks about that problem to begin with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's, people can think about these incensed topics very black and white when it's emotional, and it's like, well, who's the bad guy? Where's the blame? And there's like entertaining the thing, like when two things can be true at the same time, which is like, okay, on one hand, Cold Card remains a great hardware wallet when used properly. It's
a signing device.
Yeah. So it remains great hardware, great tool, great team, yada, yada, yada. And
I think the great team might be in question right now.
Well, yeah. Okay. I'm just as an example, let's just say on one hand, say it's true that Cold Card remains a great hardware device to use when used properly. And is Cold Card cooked? Like reputation? I mean, so many influencers and others it goes back to the trust and the brand and all that, and people are just like, I just ultimately, we operate on vibes, and I don't know what I don't know, and I don't trust when I don't know, and I don't know. I wonder if Cold Card is F.
I don't see how they recover from this, but I've seen crazier shit happen, right? But I mean,
yeah, I think they're done.
Yeah, like I don't see how you weather this storm. Like,
there's people talking like lawsuits, and I mean,
I would point them to the as is disclaimer that comes with every cold card.
Right.
You know, there are jurisdictions like what they're probably liable for is replacement cost of the cold card at most. Like I don't think anybody's, you know, it's like if you own a cold card, you should just go and you still have the warranty paperwork, I would point you to it real quick and just go, hey, I get that you're pissed, I get that you're angry, I get that you feel betrayed, and you know but that's one more thing you just assumed. Well, you know, I assume I've got this chain of assumptions going through here, but you know, like even back during the Celsius thing, like I remember seeing that everywhere. People talking, oh, you can earn, you know, interest and whatever. And the first thing I did was go read their terms and conditions, and it's like 3 paragraphs down. Like, we reserve the right to rehypothecate your funds. I go, what's rehypothecate mean? Google.
That actually makes AI makes it a lot easier to read terms.
Yeah.
I use it all the time for that. Like I previously wouldn't understand or didn't want to take the time to read terms and conditions, but you can just copy paste stuff into AI and just ask, is there anything concerning here?
Yeah. And it goes, oh yeah. All kinds of shit, dude.
Yeah.
Every single
super cool use of AI.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. Like I said, I do feel really bad for the people that misplaced their trust. But, you know, it's for the people that didn't get wrecked by it. It's like, well, this is your great big wake up call. You need to sink some 3-inch screws into your door frame, and you need to buttress the latch area. And ideally, you're going to add a couple more like stops at the top and the bottom of the door. So you have 3 points of contact with the frame all the way around and make it a lot harder. And to your kids thing, they actually have a little device that kind of clips around. And it locks them, and it's just a nice, thick, chunky block. But it also comes with screws that actually penetrate into the frame of the house, not the door frame. And it's really, it's surprisingly robust against kick attacks and things like that. So you put one up at the top, you put one up at the bottom, and then you latch the door in the middle. And guess what? If someone tries to kick attack your door, if you've got 3-inch lag screws stuffed through the hinges into the frame, then all of a sudden you've got a pretty robust door. Like, I would say you could probably go and get some very big, heavy battering rams and start working on that door. And you're going to go, oh man, this is actually pretty tight now. Okay, cool. I feel much safer in my house.
My doors, unfortunately, are all windowed, like behind me. So,
oh, dude, I would never.
You just got to have a lot of guns, I guess, some dogs.
Yeah, dogs.
Robust camera surveillance system.
Yeah.
Fencing, gates. I try to make
maybe you can relate, but you know, like I can think and implement a lot of things, but ultimately, like my wife is not on the same page. She doesn't think about these things in a way. What she trusts is like me. And so like when I'm home, like I'll often even be armed, or I know where things are, whatever, but like we don't have our door locked throughout the day all day. And part of that's the nature of where we live in our landscape here. But like if I'm gone and away, my wife will like keep all the doors locked and be mindful. When I'm home, she's kind of like, oh, like daddy's home. And she doesn't think about it. Like I take care of that. And so like having a spouse who trusts you and you're the man or whatever, and she's not on in that wavelength at all. I mean, she's more, I remember I gave her a gun for her birthday years ago, just a simple little Derringer. I mean, it's a pocket fold out little simple 22.
Yeah.
And it's like, you could just have this in your yoga pants or in your purse or whatever. Nope. She won't carry it. She won't load it. And I even talked about it, like, hey, we were going out somewhere. She was going out and I'm like, you know,
it's good time
to carry easily enough. And she's just like, she just doesn't want to think about it.
Right.
And it's like, well, so part of my security is getting my mind around the loose ends in my life that I don't have control over. It's like, oh, so.
Well, I don't know. Like it's that tweet I was telling you offline about, you know, the guy said, you know, back in the day I bought a Mark III and it said I should do dice rolls. And the guy said in the post, he's like, at the time I thought, Jesus, this sounds really extreme. Like, why should I do that? That sounds fucking crazy. but he did the dice rolls anyway. He's like, well, I don't know. They said do dice rolls, so I guess I'll just do dice rolls. And then he wakes up today and he's like, oh, well, thank God I did that. At the time, I didn't really know why I was doing it. I didn't know how important it was. But today I can wake up and go, oh, I'm going to move my funds from this thing to this thing but I didn't get swept. I didn't get caught up in a fucking mess because I bothered to take the time to understand what it is I'm securing, right? And it's like flukish shit like that, but that was like when I first started seeing this, I was like, oh God. I mean, and like I said, I have a cold card Mark III and I'm like, oh, maybe I have some funds at risk. But I also know like if that thing got swept, I'm not ruined. I just go, God damn it. Did I just lose? Fuck. That's annoying. God damn it. But it's not like, oh, my entire stack is just evaporated. Oh, I'm going to go hang myself now, right?
You're saying you'd lose a few eggs.
Yeah.
Not
exactly.
all your eggs.
Well, I would lose probably an egg. You know what I mean? Like, but since day one, I've always been like, well, I know I should probably keep some here and I should probably keep some there. And I should probably have some custodied and I should probably have some here and I should probably have some here. And but the thing is people are like, oh, you got to do multi-sig and this and that. I'm like, I don't do multi-sig because I don't understand it well enough to implement it. And I am too lazy to like go, well, I should go understand multi-sig better and blah, 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 blah. I just go, well, I'll just separate my eggs and I'll do what I know how to do, at least to the extent of my ability. But that's for me, I go, that's enough. Right. But I mean, and maybe I'll pay a price for that. I don't know. Cause I don't trust Verify and I don't trust me. I don't trust that I've got this all figured out and ironed out. Right. But there are attack vectors that I'm not aware of and I may fall victim to. So my thing is probabilistic. I go, well, the probability of me having like 15 different things compromised all at once, I think is low. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some pattern in my behavior that is like discernible and can be modeled and I'll get caught up in a sweep of other people that are just like me that have a similar pattern. I don't know. I mean, but that's the risk I'm willing to take because I have access to sovereign property that can't be taken from me. So I go, well, that's my trade-off. But if I was ever worried about it, or I just was too lazy to do it, I just go, well, just put it on fucking river and just let it sit there. It's like chances are good their security team is better than I'll ever conceive of. And that's not to say there's those, industrial corporate security teams get compromised all the fucking time. Like it happens routinely. But you have bubble wrap there. They go, well, we're sorry we lost your funds. So here's a refund and we're going to make this whole. And, we recognize that we failed here and we didn't live up to your expectations and blah, blah, blah. So here's a check. And I go, okay, well, that's, thanks to the bubble wrap guys. I appreciate it. And, and I appreciate that you guys have made a lot of money off providing a security service that turned out to be weak, but at least you made up for it, So
I'm afraid that what this could do is put a chill on people's new people in the space, especially, but their sense of being willing to take self-custody. And like people might shy away from the idea of self-custody if they don't understand it well enough. For those that were doing self-custody, I think for everyone else, they're leaning in and going, oh, okay, I need to take this more seriously and get real or do it differently or change something.
Understand it more. And
this is interesting. What do you Helix says, interesting way of saying it, the harness is not a weight. I'm curious what you mean by that, like because it's not clear to me just on first blush, but anyway, continue. Yeah, continue. And
yeah, Helix, if you want to clarify what you mean there, I'm curious.
Yeah.
And also thinking about, we've talked about this before, but when I talk to many other people, even if they're Bitcoin curious, it is such a long road for so many people that they don't understand stuff. They sometimes don't want to understand it. They want to get in on Bitcoin, but they don't have the, I don't know if it's the skill set or the time or the capability to really get responsible about it.
Yeah.
And some people, they can't get responsible enough. So then I think about, okay, the dream of like a Bitcoin standard. It goes back to, real quick.
Yeah.
Not your entropy is a way of defining weights as proprietary.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to put it. Like, the thing we were talking about earlier is like, placing a lot of trust in someone else's RNG, I don't think is the right approach here. Right. But it takes a level of thinking through a problem that I don't think, as Fritz was just talking about, I don't think most people will bother to think their way through that, right? Because it's a burden. It's a burden to think through security settings. It's a burden to think through, just like it's a burden, like I said, people tell me all the time, it must be exhausting to be me. And I don't view it that way. I just go, well, I don't feel it's exhausting. I feel like it's kind of like prudent, right? To think through a problem on a deeper level. Part of that's probably because I worked in a prison. And if you look at the prison environment, like, people complain about all the little things you have to go through to just get from point A to point B. It's like a real pain in the ass to move around in a prison, right? But that's for a reason. Every single procedure they have is there for a reason, because someone got killed, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 40 years ago, because someone didn't do that, right? So they go, oh, that was a hole. We didn't see that hole. We should patch that hole and make it more of a pain in the ass for that to occur. And so you end up with things like sally ports and, interlocking doors and, like all these obstructions in your way. So it takes a cascade failure for someone to end up dead, right? And it'll still happen, but then people routinely violate those security principles. There was a thing that happened in an Oregon prison where the guys at the guard tower were propping the bottom door to the guard tower. They go, we're outside the wire. It doesn't really, who's ever going to get here? Well, it turns out someone figured out how to get there, and they went right up and they, took a bunch of people hostage in the guard tower. And, this lady got all kinds of, violated in the tower as one of the guards, and it took him forever to get the guy back down, because once he secured it properly, it was like, oh, this is a problem, But the fact that these guys were like, well, I want to go on a smoke break and I want to get my keys out. It's like, oh, so you put people's lives at risk because you're too lazy to, it's madness, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's a common thing. Like, people want convenience, but security doesn't rely on convenience. It's inconvenient to do all of this shit. It's inconvenient to reinforce your door. It's inconvenient to have like shatterproof glass. It's inconvenient to add, plexiglass to the inside of your glassworks. It's inconvenient and expensive to implement all this stuff. So,
yeah, we are creatures of convenience, and
I'm Bitcoin curious too, Johnny.
I remain perpetually Bitcoin curious, and
just don't truncate
it. What makes me think that fiat will never go away, even as horrible as we say fiat is, and the theft that it is, and how it affects our lives and steals from us and our time and our energy. In a way, the chartalism, the KYC, all the things, I think ultimately it remains because it's a framework of all the conveniences. And to get real with, like you said, what is money? What does that really mean? The responsibility of that is a bridge too far for, like, I don't know, 90%, 95, 99% of people that kind of have things in their lives going on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what Helix says here is really interesting, right? Because, like, I agree, right? The prisoners don't get a map. They don't get the blueprint of the prison and all the security apparatus that's going into it, but they have 30 years to observe it, right? They have a long time to sit there and go, oh, I noticed so-and-so every time they come in, they do XYZ thing. And I notice this guy tends to be lazy about security practices. This guy's a hard-on, so I'm not going to mess with him. And this lady is like on, like reading books the whole time and not even looking. And so, there's like, so even they might not get the same blueprint as like an open source person can go and look and just unpack code and throw it into Claude and go, hey, where's the holes? But they do have an apparatus, and they do have an internal, intelligence network that's going, here's a hole, here's a hole, here's a hole. And if they can stack enough of those holes, that's where you end up with the prison break, or that's where you end up with the compromised employee, or that one lady that like broke these guys out and then, she got smoked when they were running from the cops somewhere. I think it was Louisiana or New York or some shit like that, because she fell in love with an inmate, right? It's just
God. Yeah.
So
can't stop love.
Yeah. Can't stop love. Yeah, exactly. Outside interference is a drag. Yeah, 100%. So it's a never-ending game, right? Like, securing this stuff is not trivial, but if you're not willing to undertake that work and then willing to adopt the risk, because if you go, I'm a security expert, I know every aspect of crypto cybersecurity, I'm like, do you really though? Because that's a big, wide, deeply researched, deeply contested space. So I don't put so much confidence in myself. I'm just willing to take the risk, right? Because there's a ton of shit I don't know, and I know that about myself. But if you're not even willing to get to where I'm at, then I go, well, just put it on River, start an account on Kraken, and just rely on them, because the alternative is putting funds at risk. And if you've assumed that you've mitigated all the risks and you don't know, you are trusting, not verifying, and you're violating rule 1 of Bitcoin, right? So I am trusting, I'm verifying to the extent I can, and I'm willing to accept that my trust may well be misplaced, like in myself, in my own process. I go, I might lose all my corn here. Like, it's possible. And I will be devastated. I'll be like, oh no, I lost all my corn. That was fuck. I didn't realize all the holes I had in my logic. But I will never be the guy that's getting on Twitter going, someone owes me Bitcoin because I lost all my stack. I go, well, I fucked up and I need to own it. Right. So, yeah, I mean, Travis, easy to say now. If I lose all my corn, I'll probably be.
Yeah, right.
FBI, help me.
Travis is familiar and can relate to a lot of this stuff. But yeah, I mean, I worked in a jail for years, and I, from the time I was a rookie to the time I was more of a veteran, you realize so much about that job, that environment, the security, and the people involved. There are so many rules and so many routines, and then they get tedious, and then people get familiar, and and sort of like when you've done a combo lock 100 times, and then you realize you don't even hardly remember the numbers. You just have that muscle memory, and then you're like, oh shit, like I don't remember what this actually is. But you get weirdly used to so many things. You get complacent. You have a mind fart. And so you're there every day and you're doing these routines and you get complacent. This applies to all security and like life vigilance.
Yeah.
So you get used to a normal.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what Johnny just said. That's your comfort zone is the exploitable vector. Always.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And so
complacency kills.
Like, so for me, I'd come in on, it'd be like, the last day of my week of a shift, and I've been tired and I worked late and whatever, and I got called in, and I walk in, and for me, it's just another like grind. And those inmates are like watching you, alert. They're quite aware. They're reading every little detail. The mindset is so different that normies in the normie world would be like, I can't believe somebody did that, or that happened, or oh my gosh, it's a shocker. And when you know that mindset of the other side of the watching, the reading, the work, the grooming, the manipulation, the favors, all these little things, and how people get fished, and then you find like, what? They fell in love with an inmate?
Yeah.
or just the weirdest stuff. And you're like, how in the hell does this happen? And it creeps and it creeps and it creeps. And then there's the cracks big enough, and suddenly boom.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, how did that happen? And it was just over time.
It's incremental, but like Travis just said, it's complacency kills, right? And it's especially true. I'm grateful for the prison experience because it drilled that point home, right? And they would do things like they'd have exercises where people come in and like, because you just watch people just pencil whip all kinds of shit, right? Like we had a security thing at the front. It was the intake reception area. And I was the guy that was a fucking boner about stuff. Like people would come in, they go, okay, I need to see your backpack. And they go, and people go, and wave them through. I'm like, that you're not looking at their backpack, right? And so the first time I was like, oh no, what's that? And they go, what are you talking about, man? Like, well, what's in that bucket? Well, how come I'm talking about? And they get pissed. I'm just like, dude, what do you think this is? This is not just a fucking pencil whip position. Like you could be bringing contraband into the prison and we wouldn't know. So yeah, open that pocket. I need to see in here. I need to see it. And people get fucking enraged at me, dude. And I was just like, what the fuck, dude? Well, take it up with the captain, motherfucker, but you're not going in. And they get pissed. I mean, it was a handful, right? But it's like that whole mindset is just sort of corrosive at the end, because you're talking about the highest security environment known to man, theoretically. But yet when you see all the holes, but my thing I was getting to earlier is like they would do these exercises. Like they'd have a guy come from, Salem, and he'd come up and he'd have a gun in his waistband And they just wave him through all the fucking shit. And he'd just go back and knock on the admin control door where they hand out all the guns and the radios and everything. And they just he just knock and look, and he'd hold up a badge, and people are like, oh, just buzz the guy in. And he'd walk in and he'd point the little training pistol at the guy's head and go, you're a hostage now. Go sit in the corner. Don't fucking move, and let's see what happens. And then they would sit there for like half an hour and just like, nobody like, hey, I can't get through admin. And so master control would just start buzzing people through admin. They just
my gosh,
it's just
dude.
like, what the fuck, dude?
Those kind of pen tests sound fun. I'll be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude. But that's, so they, then they would literally end up with like half a dozen people like locked up in the admin area. It's going,
Oh my
you guys are really fucking failing right now, right?
Yeah, right.
And so what you get is like this rush of like the admin class would come in and go, we need to do better, blah, blah, blah. And so for like 2 or 3 months, everyone was just grumbling and annoyed because they had to do all these extra steps to like, get through admin control because they just want to get to their post and not deal with this shit, right? And but then after 2 or 3 months, it go right back to the same old shit, and people just, But I mean, it's I don't know. So like, what's the fix? I guess if you want to hold your
yeah, well, like TSA, I mean, you told a stat about, how much can get through TSA, with all that security theater and stuff. I mean, when they audit TSA, just shit gets right through a lot. So
yeah, exactly. Well, they just had a recent audit. It was something like 9 out of 10 screeners didn't catch a firearm in a bag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they're catching like, oh, this person's got a bottle of water. Oh, we need to screen it out to the side for like. What are you talking about? Bottle of water. Like, did you not see the gun? Oh, there's a gun there.
Interesting.
So, I mean, you should look it up because that's a legit audit report.
Yeah.
There, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Security. ... And vigilance. There's sort of a balance between wearing yourself out with hypervigilance, but being properly on orange or
Yeah,
at least
yellow. It's got to be at least conditioned yellow, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't know. So I don't know. Like, as far like, what do you think of this whole thing, Travis? Like, you got all these cold card people. They relied on RNG they shouldn't have relied on. They trusted a company they shouldn't have trusted, and now they're wrecked. It's like, what would you say to that person right now? Sucks to be you. Sorry, like
if they what I've told a few people so far is, report it to your local police department, get some investigators on it, and it's not a 0% chance sometimes of recovering stuff, but you want to move fast. You want investigators, monitoring the addresses and trying to track that flow of funds. If you lost a lot of money, there's private companies you can employ. Again, go to law enforcement, go to your local law enforcement. Don't just file an IC3 complaint and that's it. Don't do that.
What's an IC3?
That's it's essentially a database maintained by the FBI, and it's mainly used for learning about internet crime and grabbing metrics, learning. Sometimes it's used to deconflict or find victims, but people assume it's like internet crime 911. And if they submit a complaint there, the FBI will call them in a half hour. That's not what happens. It's not a thing that provokes a response. Just assume that. So you need if you file an IC3 complaint, that's great, but you need to go to like your local police department. And if they're not equipped to investigate your stolen Bitcoin, then you need to have them ramp it up and refer it on up to like a state agency or a county office and if you lost, $1 million+ worth of coin, you can probably get a federal agency to look at it. So I would just like rely on that. And there's private companies, be careful with those, especially if they're promising recovery. But if you lost a lot of money, it might be worth hiring private professionals to.
Any names you might drop?
Well, I might be a contractor with one called Groom Lake, but there's a few others, right? Just research the reputation is what I'll say, and don't fall for a scam. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah, or talk to some of your friends and family or coworkers and see if anyone.
Yeah, this is
Well, I
also an
mean, we should
environment.
clip this out because I think it's important that people understand that. Like, it's not just like, well, gee, I lost my corn, I'm going to go complain on Twitter. It's like, well, you need to start process, right? I mean, part of the fact that we live in a bubble wrap society is that the bubble wrap is there to theoretically help you at least track it, follow it. I mean, you might end up finding out that some kid in Nigeria is sitting on your corn now. You're just like, hey, can I get a subpoena for this guy? No. You could try. You can go petition the Nigerian government, see if they'll go track this guy down, but he'll probably just bribe his way out of whatever heat he gets down there. So
yeah, and if you lost a lot of money, even internationally, you can get movement potentially. So I've been surprised. At Groom Lake, we've gone after people in Dubai and India and had some movement. So you never really know.
Right. So there's a great takeaway for this. If you are a victim of this attack, there are legal avenues and, that you can pursue and probably should pursue, if nothing else, just to, like, you don't want to get taxed on your taxable event for like, hey, I just had $2 million in Bitcoin swept. And you don't want to end up at the IRS going like, hey, you owe us, X amount of capital gains for that fucking sale that you just made. And you go, there's no fucking sale, dude. Like, my wallet got swept. So you need some sort of documentation to verify that. So I think this will actually prove to be a useful clip. So I'll probably clip that out, or maybe Fritz can clip it out later, but I'll put that out for sure. Put it out on the MicroSeed channel.
Yeah, it's also quite an environment where scammers are going to call offering protection, or we can get your stuff back, or maybe you didn't get swept, but they're going to protect you. When fear goes up like this too, when this first happened, the thought went through my mind, kind of like in firearms. I thought, you know what? People are scrambling to do stuff. It's like slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And then I was listening to several podcasts, and I heard others say that repeatedly. Other people were saying steady is steady is smooth, and smooth is fast. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Like, slow down, be careful. Don't like rush and move a bunch of coins or follow some guy's instructions. Right. When fear is high, people can overreact or fall for scams. Honestly, you get a call, oh, this is cold card, we just saw that you might be whatever. Beware out there.
So that's a huge thing, and I'm really glad you brought that up, because that's super, super important for people to understand right now. Like, understand, if you just lost a lot of Bitcoin in this exploit, you are emotionally vulnerable right now. Right. And the likelihood of you being able to think clearly is severely diminished. So things that you wouldn't have fallen for last year become very, very, very juicy things that seem like you're going to get some resolution, you're going to resolve that emotional conflict inside of you. So this is really, really a time for sober thinking, to pump the brakes, and to really think through problems as stably as you can. But, seek other opinions while you're doing it. We recommend the Bitcoin Way. I know those guys are swamped right now. There's a guy named Finn Creighton at Finn Creighton is a great resource here. But, don't just start doing things. Like, you still need to do your test transactions. You still need to do, Slipstream is kind of coming to the fore, because if you got a weak wallet, there's a lot of people submitting transactions to Slipstream, so they don't get front run by some hacker somewhere who may have access to your keys, and they see those funds move and they go, oh, I'm just going to RBF this. And then they get that transaction sent to an address they control rather than your address, right? So there are things out there that you can use to better protect yourself against potential front running attacks and things like that. But the bigger point is be really careful what you're doing, and then as soon as you arrive at an island of safety, whether you move your shit to Coinbase or Kraken or River or Swan or wherever you decide to set up an account and move things to, or wherever you're currently purchasing from, or Strike or whatever it is, whenever you get your corn relatively safe, like at least away from the vulnerability, then that is the time to really, really pump the brakes and go, okay, I need to figure out a better strategy here. I need to really unpack what I'm doing, what I think I know and what I really know, and do that a deep forensic dive, because if you fail to do that step, you're just going to replace one vulnerability for another potential vulnerability that you may not recognize yet. So go slow, like don't panic, don't rush, and try and be a sober thinker. Just like if you're going through a divorce, it's really hard to think clearly. This is the same exact thing. You're not thinking clearly right now, full stop. So be sure you're taking your time and get second opinions and get other people involved that aren't as emotionally invested as you are, and make sure that you're taking sober, coherent steps while you're doing it, right?
Yep. I myself not impacted directly at all, but just reading the stuff online and thinking about it and reading, people's the anecdotal stories that are out there. My own blood was going just like, ooh. And I was like, okay, I'm going to check my stack, or maybe I should do something. And I almost rushed to be like, "Rah." And I was like, whoa. I need to be like, sanity check, sanity check. Okay, I'm fine. I'm not going to do anything right now. Like, I know I'm fine. I'm going to think through the big picture. And if I'm going to make a change, how exactly do I do that? And do I have like a day here where I'm not, I don't have my daughter in the background or something.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. But it's I'm glad we kind of got to this point in the episode here, because I think it's helpful information, especially if you have been affected or are potentially affected. Like, you got to think your way through this problem, But there's some great lessons here. Like, don't trust, verify is huge. It's rule number one. If you're moving to a new device or something like that, and you're generating your seed using their onboard RNG, you need to buttress that. You can't rely on it, because you don't truly understand what's happening under the hood. And you also need to consider like disbursement, like not keep your eggs in one basket. So there's rule number one and rule number two you need to think about and consider. And there is a decent argument to be made to have some of your stack with a custodian, because you have recourse. Like, you don't want to get wiped out in one shot, right? You want to have layers to your defense. Just like a prison has layers to their defense, you need layers for your defense too. So it's okay to have a stack that's on your Strike wallet or whatever, your Bull Bitcoin wallet, where you just spend wherever. And then it's great to have like a cold custody situation where you're putting some of your coin away. But that shouldn't all be like, well, all my life savings is in this one address under a single sig with RNG that I can't verify. Like, that's not a secure setup. So, at the very least, go read like Lops articles on entropy and entropy generation, what it means. And, and he's got a ton of like really great research, and people shit on his head, especially the BIP 110ers about it. He's a scammer and this and that and the other thing. I go,
who is that again?
Jameson Lop.
Lop, you're right. Yeah.
But if you go look at his articles, like, he'll walk you through all this shit. He'll tell you where the trade-offs are. He's really, really thorough, and he's really, really good about telling you, like, and pointing out and kind of hand-holding about, so you can have a really good, solid understanding of what it is you're doing and why, rather than just assuming because, XYZ influencer on YouTube said so, And there are great YouTube influencers as well. Like BTC Sessions is really great about this stuff. But if you pay attention to what he said back on his Mark III video, he says, like, you should roll dice. Like, it's the first thing he says, if you don't trust cold card. I go, well, see rule number one. So, but you have to discern that. It's not made explicit. I think it's going to be explicit now. But back then, like, it was kind of like, well, this is a step you could take if you really wanted to be safe. It's like, no, this is the critical step you need to take to ensure that you're safe, right? And I don't know. I mean, I can't stress enough how terrible it must be for the people that lost. For the people that didn't lose, I can't stress enough how important it is that you take this opportunity to review your security practices and make sure you actually understand what you're doing, rather than assuming you understand what you're doing and getting your ego involved because you go, meh. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've had somebody I've been talking to who's giving me a bunch of opinions about Bitcoin. I say, oh yeah, I'm into Bitcoin. And they go, oh, that scam, that thing that you do, and blah, blah, blah. And they start saying a bunch of like tropes. And I go, just sounds like you don't really understand Bitcoin. And they get butt hurt. Like, their ego gets in. They go, oh, I understand Bitcoin. Oh, yeah, how can you say? I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, you very clearly don't. And if you have that same reaction when I go, I don't think you really understand security practices. Like, oh, I understand. And I go, well, you're already vulnerable. Like, you've already you've already attached something meaningful to your identity and your ego that can't be challenged now. So that makes you at risk. So it's time to be humble and really think through a problem, because your ego has no place in this. Your priors have no place in this. You always have to be questioning everything that you're doing through and through. And like I said, but if you're going to do this, you also have to assume the risk, because there is no recourse for you. And people have been saying that for 15 years. They go, there's no customer service here. Like, you don't get to call somebody and go, hey, things went bad. Right. So it's a massive responsibility, and it's a massive learning space, and it's never settled. You're never going to be, like I said earlier, I'm not convinced through and through that my entire stack is completely safe and I don't have anything to worry about. I always have something to worry about, and I have a reasonable probabilistic idea that chances are good my stack is safe, but that's not absolute. That's conditional, and I accept that. So.
Yeah, and I hope people don't lose the plot when, they get this scare, they have decisions to make, and they're like, well, see, I saw some things like go, exchanges are better. Exchanges have the professional, custody or whatever. And or other people fudding on Bitcoin at a deeper level than is necessary here. People are going to lose the plot over this, or, instead of learning more or understanding better, people are also going to flame out or rage quit, or,
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, it's good to see you, Manuel. Yeah, that's really cool, man. You got all the you're breaking
rolling the dice. I showed these earlier. Get the Bitcoin dice.
Yeah, there's some really neat solutions out there. Like one of the ones I'm a little disappointed to see, it's seedsticks.org.
Yeah.
And they have like laser printed all 2048 seed words onto 1024 like individual little MDF sticks or something like that, right? But it's neat because it takes a lot of the transcription errors out of the thing, right? Like you pull 23 words and then you have your wallet calculate the last thing, the checksum and the 24th word. But that thing is neat because it's nearly foolproof, right? Like but the thing is, you have to follow the instructions, because it says shake them up, pull the thing out, put the thing back in. But as I pointed out in that article earlier, I guarantee you someone's going to get this bag of things. They're going to go, oh, okay. They're going to grab 24 sticks. They're going to set them on the table. They're going to start arranging them in a way that looks good to them. And I go, you've just potentially decimated. Oh, there's that Dilbert thing I was talking about. But
funny.
The point is if you aren't following their method, then you're introducing some degradation in randomness, right? And you won't know what that is. So follow the instructions. Don't just assume. You go, oh, okay, I can just pull 23 words and that's good. And I can just lay them out and I go, oh, I like this word first. Or I'm going to make them alphabetical, or I'm going to do this, or this word's kind of weird. It should be over here. I want something that's easier to remember. All like you're introducing things that can massively reduce your entropy, and and that can be modelable behavior. Like some guy can sit there and go, oh, I bet you there is some N number of users that will grab these fucking seed sticks and they'll do XYZ thing with them. Let me see how many addresses correspond with that attack surface. And you go, oh, there's actually 100,000 addresses I can potentially attack. Let's just see what happens. They go, oh, looky there. I managed to unlock 500 wallets doing that. Sweet. Dumbasses. But that's exactly what happened with the cold card thing, right? It's just their attack space was fucking huge, so yeah. But the problem with seed sticks is you can't get them in the US because they won't ship here. They're Switzerland.
Oh,
yeah.
Really? Yeah, I was gonna say I've never seen them. That looks cool, but
yeah, it's awesome.
Never mind.
Yeah, but but the thing is, they actually say you can do this yourself. Just print out the words and cut them up in little pieces of paper.
But it looks cute.
Yeah. I mean,
my family would like it.
Yeah, and it's a legit randomness generator, right? Because you're shaking the bag, shake the shit out of it. And one of the big things they point out is like duplicate words are okay in a seed phrase, right? So they say put the stick back. Like people will just go, oh, I don't want a duplicate word. I shouldn't do that. I'll put that back in, or I'll leave it out or whatever. And it's like, no. Just shake the bag up, get your actual randomness going. And if you just ask a robot, like, how is this actually random? And they go, well, as long as you don't arrange the words, or you don't pull a word out because you didn't like it, or you didn't arrange them in a certain way, then yes. But if you do some of those things, your entropy can go all the way down to like 78 bits. But if you do it exactly according to the instructions, you're like 253 bits, no problem, which is like unassailable. But the robot even says, like, even if you pulled them all out and then arranged them alphabetically, you're still at like 153 bits, which is effectively unassailable. So you're probably still safe, but don't do that, right? Like, don't take the risk, because you don't know what the actual reduction of entropy is, depending on your word choices and ordering and arranging. So literally just shake the bag, pull one out, look at it, go write that word down, put it back in the bag, shake it up, look at it. And you're going to have reasonable certainty, and it's a verifiable process. Are you relying on some fancy widget doodad, proprietary code thing that ensures that the processor heat fluctuations are being calculated by the thing when they're introducing randomness and blah, blah, blah? Like, can you audit that? And I go, no. Can you audit that you pulled a stick out of a bag and wrote it down right? Yeah. Like, your auditability goes way up. Do you have any transcription errors of like converting binary dice slips to a thing on a table that corresponds to a word that you like? Those are like 4 steps of like all kinds of places to screw that up. So it works if you're really careful about it, but you got to go back and double check, triple check, walk away for a couple hours, come back.
You got to be a little autistic, maybe.
You got to be super autistic to do that. But Seed Sticks takes all that shit out of it, right?
Interesting.
So yeah, just things to think about.
Here was this other one that I saw. Oh, hold on a second. Is this it? Yeah.
Well, there's the pill one. You remember that guy, the Seed Signer booth right next to us in Portland? He had those. Yeah, exactly.
Entropia. I was trying to remember the name of it. So yeah, same concept here. The pill bottle, all the words on pills. It's just the first 4 letters, but this
and you can get those. Yeah. We're not accepting orders, because I guarantee you those things sold out like 10 seconds. They're just like, oh my God.
Yeah, looks sold out now.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I mean, that's another thing.
These are clever ideas.
Super clever. And they reduce a lot of the screw up.
Does MicroSeed have something like an alternative yet?
Well, I was actually looking at that. I was like, oh, we should probably offer this to people.
Yeah, but why not? Like, you guys have the option, have the solutions on what to do with your C phrase afterwards.
Yeah,
but we don't have a
need this.
Generate them.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, when I think about it, it's like run a node, take self-custody. You know what? In this new frame of mind that I'm thrust in now lately, what we're all talking about here, it's like piggybacked adjacent along with all of this literally is the dice rolling piece.
Yeah.
So I think this is important to think about.
Well, that was the thing that I said up top. And the thing that always surprises me when people say it must be exhausting to be you, I'm like, how are you not thinking about this? So I wrongfully assumed, because as I pointed out earlier, like, there are a ton of people that you look at and you go, just on paper, this person's an expert with Bitcoin. They understand this shit inside and out. There's zero chance they're going to get swept here. And then all of a sudden, some of these people, big accounts, like 10, 20, 50,000 followers, like, oh my God, my wallet just got swept. And it's like, but you're the guy that teaches this shit. Like, how is that even possible? They go, well, I relied on Cold Card's number generation. I'm like, but why? Like, how do you, so people that I have held up as an expert in my own sort of like, background, assessment of people, it comes to find out, oh, they're not the experts they put themselves out to be. One of the, people have reached out and go, how come you guys aren't doing more? Because I don't want to hold myself out as an expert, because I know enough to kind of get where I am, but I don't want to like be telling people this is the way to do things. A, it reveals my, quirks in terms of security practices, but B, I don't necessarily know that what I'm doing is the right way to do things either, right? Because I'm not a fucking cryptographic security researcher. And I think it's like someone like Jameson Lopp is at that level. And I go look at his stuff, because he explains this in way better detail than I could ever do. And I don't want to give someone bad information. I want people to get good information. And, but they also need to not trust me to give them information. They need to not trust Jameson Lopp to give them the information. They need to triangulate that information. They need to look a little bit deeper. But if you're not willing to take that responsibility, then you need to pump the brakes on what you're doing, because this isn't a narrative space. It's not, sound money and freedom money. We're going to be the reserve currency. And, as long as you have air gap, you're fine. It's like, those are neat stories, but they're not operational realities. Right. So let's kind of, always be the journeyman. That's a great way to put it. You need to be a journeyman in this space, because it's not, Bitcoin isn't for kids, right? It's a place that's fraught with risk. But if done well, it gives you enormous power. It gives you access to a property right that can't be taken from you. And that's an enormously powerful position to be in, especially if it goes to $1 million, $10 million, $50 million. You go, wow, I have the non-sovereign granted right of exclusion to a major valuable asset that I can parcel off at any time, and major institutions are going to want a piece of. So that puts you in a very powerful position, but it comes with the attendant responsibilities, right? Like you can't run around with checking account security on your $10 million stack of valuable property that you have a right to exclusion from. So if that makes sense, I don't know, am I just nattering into the weeds?
Rant on, fellow weirdo. I want to figure out how to find a pillbox or the word list, the sticks, something, if they won't ship to America. I'm thinking about this now, because I can do the dice. You see all these things about dice and dice and dice, but I tell you, the convenience of the words is sure nice.
Well, I saw kind of a neat thing. This guy has a little tray, and I wish I would have bookmarked it or something.
The dice tray?
Yeah, and the guy just kind of shakes the dice, and then you just kind of shake them down. And then you got, at least it's laid out orderly.
Yeah.
Right? So you can actually, but you still have to double check that you're transcribing correctly, right? And what I can say just from backing up seed words, it's really easy, even just stamping letters, it's really easy to zone out on that, right? And you're talking you need to maintain focus for 20 to 30 minutes, right? It seems like it's easy, but if you go talk to a sniper, you go, how long can you maintain focus? They go, about 2 or 3 minutes. You go, what? You can only, they go, yeah, we need to just stop and go, okay, I'm thinking about puppies. And they go, okay, now I'm hard focused on my thing. Right. Because your actual functional attention span drifts really quickly. And it takes a lot of training to get that up to 5 minutes or 10 minutes where you can have uninterrupted hard focus on something, unless it's like a task that you're immediately interacting with. If you're building something, obviously you can maintain focus, right? But if you're just sitting there I need to watch this guy and make sure he doesn't move. You got 2-3 minutes tops before your brain's just oh, look, there's a butterfly. No, there's a fly. Oh, it's kind of warm. I noticed I'm sweating. I think my balls are sweating. And I might need to, oh, wait a minute. I haven't watched this guy for the last 10 minutes. Fuck, But how many of you have just been sitting in your car and you're just how'd I get here? I don't remember driving here. I know I did. I know I navigated shit, but somewhere along the line, I just was on autopilot. Now I'm here, right? So, and that's something that's a critical safety issue that you're just la 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 la, you're just not even, you're relying on muscle memory. So so if you're transcribing ones and zeros, it's you got to go 1 0 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 1 1 1 1 0. Okay, cool. Okay, all right, let me think about this for a second, go back and then compare. But one of my job functions early on was I had to compare hashes and make sure that assets were delivered correctly, right? And my coworkers hated me because I would literally sit there and I would just line these things up and I would just go each fucking letter. And they're just look at the first 4 and look at the last 4. And I'm nope, And the thing is when I went to apply for the Multnomah County Sheriff's Department, they had a similar test. They go, okay, here's a string of numbers. Can you find the thing? And I was I sat there just okay, oh, there's a mistake. Okay. And when I turned it in, the lady was and I'm not saying this to brag. It's a thing that happened. They said, you scored higher on this than we've ever recorded because I'm so fucking autistic.
You were looking?
Yeah. I didn't just assume, and when people are transposing letters, I dedicated so much focus to that task, but I got something 99% correct. Right. And there's we usually get people 30%, dude. I don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're not right for our fucking jail, but it's just, they made a point to point out that we haven't seen a score like this. So and I'm cool. I'm super autistic. Nice. When it comes to fine detail shit like that if I actually focus on it. But I'm also the guy, when I started at Sunset Post 100 years ago, like I would go look at a shelf of tapes and the guy would go, it's on shelf B7 on column 4. I go, okay. I go over there and look, it's not there, dude. And he's like, if I walk over there and find that tape, I'm going to fucking, you owe me lunch. I'm like, it's not there. I looked, I checked. He'd walk over and go, you mean this tape right here? I'm like, fuck, like, how did I miss that? So there, there's obviously limits to my autism, I guess. Right. But, yeah, it's shit like that. You got to recognize about yourself is what I'm kind of getting at.
Speaking of autism, Bitcoin veterans, we are doing a summit.
Oh, nice.
In Nashville at Bitcoin Park, November 9th to the 10th.
Very cool. Oh, very nice.
Well, the first day is at Bitcoin Park. Second day is outside of Nashville at a firing range. You can sign up for both days, just one day, but I'll be there. Hopefully you guys will be there too.
Yeah, I hope so too. Hopefully I won't get stuck in Dallas this time.
Oh, right. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little annoying. I probably could have got there for the shoot day if I had, but hey, somehow Satoshi's militia showed up too. Yo.
Yeah, it should be fun. We have we're working on I'm helping organize this event. We're working on building up the panels and the workshops and everything right now. So
are you gonna have anything about Bitcoin seed pills or whatever?
Let's do it. Yeah, we should, right? We should have a whole panel on entropy.
Securing your Bitcoin.
Get some get some security experts on there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Get them up, dude.
Yeah, if you have an idea of something to present, by yourself or with other people, or you just want to volunteer, there's the form right there on the website.
Applications to be a speaker or panelist or a workshop facilitator, a volunteer or sponsor.
Yes, sir.
Nice. Yeah, we'll definitely get hooked up on that one.
Yeah, high signal there. It'll be fun.
Yeah, great group of people. I just sent a couple of microseeds to Andrew, so he's got one, I think, in Bitcoin Park as a display. Yeah, but super nice guy, super cool.
Yeah, super smart.
Yeah, super smart. And hey, thanks, Johnny. But yeah, if you haven't looked into it, he's also part of Bull Bitcoin, and as a wallet provider, a software wallet provider, you should really look into Bull Bitcoin. They got some amazing shit. Really dig into it, because I recommend that wallet probably over anything else nowadays for a software wallet. But really neat functionality and ways to procure your Bitcoin and have it shunted off and auto buys and all kinds of neat privacy enhancing stuff. So yeah, check them out. bullbitcoin.com. Coming soon. Yeah. Just got European MiCA approved. And and Francis, as part of Bull Bitcoin, is also launching a big thing against DCA 8 or whatever. What is it? DC 8? DAC 8?
DAC 8. Yeah, DC 8.
Like the European initiative to, basically expose everything about every crypto holder to every criminal on planet Earth. Like, he's fighting that tooth and nail. So go support him and his work. Great guy. And he's now in a position where he actually has a voice in that fight. So definitely worth supporting, definitely worth checking out. bullbitcoin.com. Francis Puyo, I believe his name is. Go check him out. Go give him a follow on Twitter and reach out, because he's
Puyo. Let me search for DAC. Yeah. Is it DAC 8?
I think it's DAC 8, yeah. But definitely go check those guys out. They're doing some great work. And just the crew involved. It's Gigi with My Bitcoin Story. He does a lot of great work on helping people secure their Bitcoin. Just an amazing crew, amazing group of people. And, I'm really stoked just to know these guys. So, yeah. Yeah,
they're great guys. Great exchange, great wallets.
Check the options. Definitely worth a follow, engagement with. And if you don't have it already, download Bull Bitcoin wallet and start putting it to good use. They're a great company.
DAC8.com. So Bull Bitcoin created a website, DAC8.com. Stop DAC 8.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he's also leaning in hard on helping people and tracking stuff on the whole cold card deal too. So
1,000%.
They're working hard. They really want to shore up the people's security here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So awesome. All right.
Well, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I think we solved it all.
Yeah, we fixed all the problems.
Got to find those pill boxes though for the words. I'm going to think about that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining, Travis, man. This is great. Fun conversation. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Yeah. Well, as one option, you can go and get like really heavy, like 120-pound cardstock and get those words printed on that and then just cut it up. And,
yeah.
You know, there are ways to print on plastic sheets and UV printing and all that kind of stuff, or you could laser it onto like a heavier plastic cardstock or a little, you know, block of balsa wood and then cut that up or whatever. But there are ways to generate your own sort of entropy producing devices similar to those seed pills or the seed sticks or whatever. But things to consider as you're moving forward, just try and minimize your potential for mistakes and be careful out there. Go slow, take your time, understand what you're doing, still do your test transactions, all that kind of stuff. You're sweeping funds, moving funds around. Consider geographic distribution of your seeds, consider multiple wallets, get into multi-sig. It sounds like it's a great way to go. I don't do it because I don't understand it well enough to implement it, but maybe I will. I feel pretty comfortable with what I'm doing currently, but you know, I might be eating crow this time next year. So we'll see. So I don't know, but just understand it's self-custody is self-responsibility, and it's a burden. It's not a perk.
Right. Yeah. Always more education to do. I think of all the hours I may have spent and the hours I have yet to do. So
yeah, exactly. Always something to learn in this space. It's a deep, deep, deep space. Just cryptography in general is a deep, deep, deep. It's an entire discipline in academia. And it's not a trivial discipline, and it touches all the way up to people at the NSA and shit like that are thinking about these problems, right? So to think you can just figure it out because you watch a YouTube video, I think is overestimating the amount of information that is required. But
yeah, if you're learning and doing something,
Bitcoin for sure.
Yeah, you implement it. Start small. Do tests. Do repetitive stuff. Make sure, like, okay, I've done this before. See how it works. Do a little bit. Prove it out. Okay, you have some familiarity, like testing out, like you roll the dice and you generate it and test it. Maybe it's a wallet you just simply throw away, but you check that it worked. And then okay, you know your process. So then it's like getting over your skis. It's more like not getting over your stilts.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not skis. These are stilts. So you're just balancing through all this.
Yeah, great way to put it, Fritz.
All right. Till next time, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Oh, let me play the thingy.
Oh yeah,
I got a thingy.
You gotta make a new ad, dude.
What's that?
You gotta make a new ad.
I know. I guess I got an old one here, but well, I guess you'll
play
see the old one.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, let me play. I can play your longer one, the newer one you made.
Yeah, you don't have to include my little intro, I guess. But
let's see. I wonder if I can skip
Back
this.
in 2013, a computer engineer accidentally threw away a hard drive which contained 8,000 Bitcoin.
You know, I don't know this guy, but I feel really bad for him. I can't even imagine what it feels like to wake up one day and realize that you just, threw $1 billion in the trash. If you don't know the story, back in 2013, this guy was a computer engineer. He had mined himself a bunch of Bitcoin. He had about 8,000 of them laying around. He stored all that wallet information on a hard drive. He thought he had transferred that wallet information to a new hard drive, and then he threw the old one out. Turns out he didn't. Oops. I'd just like to point out, if this guy had a MicroSeed back in the day, he could have put all those seed words on a single 32 millimeter titanium washer. This is grade 5 titanium. It's fireproof, it's waterproof, and it comes with every single MicroSeed, along with stainless steel washers that you can get in any hardware store. And we even give you nylon washers in case you just might need to sneak past one of them metal detectors. It's safe to store, it's easy to hide, and it's just one more layer of protection to make sure that you never get separated from your Bitcoin stack. Stay humble, stack sats, make sure you take self-custody, and by all means, be sure to back up that seed phrase. Don't be the guy that just threw out $1 billion.